Good day, and welcome to the Budding Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Randy Bridges. In each episode, I cover my experiences, both good and bad, of being a business builder, as well as my journey through the crazy world of entrepreneurship to reach my goal of earning $10 million a year. All right. We are celebrating here on this podcast because today is episode 125. Now, I remember it seems like it was just a couple of weeks ago that we hit episode 100. I was very proud at that point because I'd worked a long time to get to that level. And here I am now, a quarter of the way through it again in what just seems like, a few months, right? So this is great. This is a good opportunity for us to take advantage of the fact we are going into December and we are making some changes in our format right here on episode 125. So that's awesome. What we're doing a little bit different is we're still going to be doing our books and learnings, right? But we're going to focus on it a little bit differently. Instead of thinking about what we're working on in the course of a month, we're going to hit like maybe 2 books, work to complete them both, and then we go into tasks and ideas, followed by quotes. Now, these all come from some of the learnings, some of the books that I've been reading, some of the things that are happening. And so it's a really nice thing. Then we're going to be doing business strategies. Now, this is kind of a catch-all, if you will, but it's really going to focus on ways that you can improve the process of your business, things that I'm being handed here as a great example to be able to use. I personally am putting these into work in my business, and I want to share that with you so that you understand, that all of this whole journey is just that. It's a journey. So, digging back in here on our books and learning, we're still going through $100 million offers with Alex Hormozy, and I'm finding some new ways to think about the offers and the pricing that I'm doing. When you're doing value-based anything, the value is not to you, the value is to your client or to your prospect or whoever it is that you're talking to. And so the $100 million offers is a great way to kind of go through a step-by-step process from Alex Hormozy and just really think your offer all the way through. A new book for this month is Mastery by Robert Greene. This was recommended to me by my training program. A couple of people in there are like, yeah, this is a great book for you to really dig into. Mastery is the key. This is something that Myron Golden talks about too. He talks about mastery as being the ability of a person to fluidly adjust and manage and respond to the things that are coming at them unconsciously. And it's kind of like somebody told me one time that a karate master really only needs to master 7 basic moves. Now, I don't know how accurate that is, but it makes sense. Because if you can fluidly move from one to the other without having to think about it, you're able to respond to the things that are coming at you very differently by simply moving your hands in a different way, by adjusting, taking things as they come. So this is the idea of mastery that I want to bring to the table here, and it may get changed quite a bit. As I read through this book, it's going to give me a lot of new ideas, new concepts, things to grab a hold of, and then to digest. And once they're digested, then you have to let them kind of germinate and do the things that they're going to do for you, putting your brain in the back 40 to work on things, making them happen. So, $100 million offers by Alex Hormozy, Mastery by Robert Greene. Under tasks and ideas and quotes, I kind of lump these together because I think that they really bring us closer to an idea when we can actually go about what we're doing and reference things that we're trying to accomplish, ideas we're trying to absorb, with the quotes that we get, with the learning that we get. And this week, we're going to really focus heavily on Jim Rohn, Rohn. If you've never heard about him, he's a great guy. But he makes a good point, is that we as creatures, as animals, essentially, we choose how great we are. And then he says, all life asks from us is to make measurable progress in reasonable time. Now, more than just measurable progress in reasonable time, this is something that we get to choose. We decide what is measurable. We decide what is reasonable. And if we're making progress, keep in mind, progress isn't towards a future goal. Progress is always measured against where you started. And so this brings us into a really good thought here, because we're choosing the dignity of choice. We get a chance to kind of think about all kinds of things that most other people don't get to do, that are, I should say, most creatures don't get to do. And what Jim says is all other creatures on this planet only have the ability to live to their best. For them, it's kill or be killed. Of all life forms, humans are the only one choosing to live to how great we are. That's an amazing kind of concept, because if we choose to live to less than we are, we're going to get less than we are. If we choose to live to greater than we are, we're going to achieve that too. I remember there was a quote a long time ago that came from Anthony Robbins, and he said, whether you can or you can't, if you say I can or I can't, you're right. You set the tone on what you can achieve in your life and where you can go and what you can do. Many times in my life, I've been told some of the craziest things, like, oh, you're not going to go back to school. You get out of school, you're not going to go back. Meanwhile, I went back 4 different times. You're not going to be successful in business. And that's great. I consider my success in my business as being the kind of thing that I enjoy every day. I work on what I work on. I work with whom I want. I have all the things that I could ever want, and still am able to provide for my family and my friends and being there for other people. And this is kind of fun to realize that you get to do that in the course of a day. We're going to look at some business strategies. And the first one is called flow zone. This comes from Michael Young, and it comes from other people before him. But basically, he's talking about the concept of doing deep work, where you get into a place where you can just produce. You don't have to really think about it. It comes naturally. It comes from your subconscious. It comes from your will to do. It's a concept introduced by an author and professor, Cal Newport, in his book, Deep Work, Rules for Focused Success in a Distracted World. And let's face it, when we're doing our work, we're distracted all the time. I have found myself sitting in my office doing work, and next thing I know, I'm surfing the internet, and I'm like, how did I get here? It's because I allowed the area of distraction to be too close to me. It created a lot of issues that I couldn't really concentrate. In this book by Cal Newport, he has 9 different ideas that he brings to the table. And I want to kind of read a little bit about these so you really get a chance to understand this. The first one is uninterrupted focus. Deep work involves periods of undisturbed, concentrated effort on a single task. Entrepreneurs often seek environments or create routines that minimize interruptions to achieve this deep level of focus. Number 2, cognitively demanding tasks. Deep work typically involves activities that require significant cognitive effort and add substantial value. Cognitive, brain. Flow state. Now, this is where flow zone kind of comes into this process. Entrepreneurs value deep work for its ability to introduce a flow state, a mental state where individuals are fully immersed and energized by the task at hand. It's basically they've lost a sense of time, they've lost a sense of identity. They are so deeply ingrained in what they're doing, none of that other stuff from the outside world comes through to them. Another concept here, quality over quantity. Deep work emphasizes the quality of work over the quantity of time spent. Now, that's important for us as entrepreneurs to realize that it's not how much time you spend on it. It's what is achieved in the course of that time. I have a simple spreadsheet keeping track of all the tasks that I do every day. And I found myself a little uncomfortable doing this deep work by myself without a little bit of reminder. And I kept all the priority one things that were in my mind kept coming up, and they kept, reaching up into where I was. And what I realized is that I had kind of trained my brain into a task-based concept. Instead of a strategy concept, I was doing tasks again. So naturally, these priority tasks keep coming up. Your brain can't separate them out. By going with deep work as a strategy, a way to achieve something, and not necessarily the achievement of something, now you can separate that out. And I'm finding that area between 7:30 and 8:30 in the morning is where I can do some of my best work in the course of a day. So quality over quantity. Next one, minimal distractions. I don't really think we need to talk too much about that. Scheduled time blocks. Now, this is where you're basically breaking your calendar up into different pieces, and you want to do similar types of things, one after another. The information says this ensures that your entrepreneur allocates dedicated periods for focused, high-quality work amidst other responsibilities. This is also that concept of matching things together so that you have a bunch of things that are similar to be accomplished in the same period of time. Skill development. Deep work is seen as an opportunity for skill development and mastery. Isn't that interesting? We're reading about mastery. So that is a related topic there for me. Reflective thinking. Deep work provides entrepreneurs with the mental space for reflective thinking. It's introspective time that's valuable for things like setting goals and refining strategies, making your informed decisions, kind of putting yourself into a better place to make the kinds of decisions that are going to require more of your time because they are more complicated or, in a lot of cases, just flat more important. And the last thing that they list here is results-driven approach. By focusing on high-impact tasks, entrepreneurs can achieve meaningful goals and move their businesses forward. So as a wrap-up of this idea, it says, in essence, deep work for entrepreneurs involves creating an environment and mindset that allows them to delve into challenging, meaningful work with sustained concentration and minimal distractions. This is a lot of really good information. I wanted to kind of pull it up and bring it forward because as a business strategy, flow zone and deep work gives you the capability to achieve what would normally be a distracted thinking. Something happened yesterday that I wanted to bring in here. This is less of a business strategy and more of a personal one. One of the things that was said, and it kind of dovetails into the flow zone, it says, don't work from circumstances. Work from commitment and your future self. The last business strategy is, again, a personal strategy, but it's one that reflects on your ability to really understand who you are and see who you can be if given the leeway to be able to do that. And this is called the daily vision map. I've talked about it before, and it still is something that is a work in progress for me, and it always will be. That's the funny thing about it. Your daily vision map is a process of establishing who you are, some of the things that you want, how to act in congruence with who you are, and many other things that keep you moving in a forward manner. And so here's the different parts of the daily vision map, and I'll break them down independently, kind of talk briefly about them. The first part is often called the credo. Either one, you can use the term. This is an ideal picture of who I am and where I'm going, what I'm trying to achieve, what is important in my life. Not from a business perspective necessarily, but from a personal perspective. The funny thing is, it's always written in third party because it's taken from outside of yourself and taking a look at who you are and where you're going. This is just your ability to dive in to what is you and what makes you you. Another part of this, the second part, is the dream board. By putting things in your mind as a picture, especially if you're like me and you're very visually oriented, a dream board is great because I can take pictures of, say, a Learjet, because maybe I want to own a Learjet one day. I don't, but maybe I do. In my case, I have a speedboat on there that I removed. I've decided today to remove that because I decided that I really wouldn't want to have something like that going out and going fast, and it's fun. Instead, I replaced it with a small lake fishing boat or a small river fishing boat and a simple paddle boat. The two people can sit side by side and just go through the water on their own, just paddling as they go. I thought that was amazing for me because I looked at that and I went, man, that's what I like to do. I like to spend time with my girl, and I like to spend time, just doing things together and being quiet and getting away from the hustle and bustle of being in business. It's important to me. And so I put that on there, and I had a house that I found that was for sale. It was down in the area where I wanted to kind of take a look around. I put it into my credo of where I was going to live when I'm in the next layer. And this was a picture of a house. I got it off of, I think, Zillow or something. And a picture from the front and a picture inside and a picture from the backyard. And I was like, wow, these are really good. And I like this. I like the house. And so I went so far as to drive down and find this house. It's still for sale. Several months later, I don't know how it is, but it is still for sale. And it's great because I could actually sit in the front yard. I could sit around the corner and look at how the house was built. And as I drove by, I could see the backyard from the street. And I was just like, wow, that's powerful. When you can actually marry a picture or an idea to an actual event, that really reaches in and grabs your soul and makes you really want that. So that's on my dream board, and that's something to think about. The third one is rules for action. Some of them are simple. My target is to awaken at 6 a.m. every weekday and by 8 a.m. on weekends. Some people say, why don't you just want to sleep in on weekends? Because I've learned over time that when I stay up really late and then I get up really late, I'm lagged all day long. If I can be a bit more consistent day to day to day, I find it easier to get up at 6 o'clock a.m. every day during the week and get started. And today I was up at 5:15. don't need an alarm clock to wake me up for that. I just wake up. It's middle of the winter time. It's dark. Yet the internal clock still wakes up. The circadian rhythms, once you get those organized and in place, and they can really help you a lot, keep you on track on things. So the rules of action or rules for action gives you that capability to say, here's how I'm going to do things. Maybe I want to make sure that I get up after 8 hours every day of sleep. I want to get sleep for 8 hours. I might need to take a nap in the afternoon, but generally speaking, I want to get that 8 hours of sleep, because a push day to me, which is basically a GSD, get stuff done kind of day, those are important. You've got to have the energy to keep going, because you're going to have to do whatever it is while everything is trying to stop you and slow you down. So rules for action, that's the third part. Principles. What principles am I not willing to compromise? What principles do I want to put forward that are going to help me to make decisions that are going to keep me in alignment with the world around me and the world I'm building? More importantly, which principles will guide me to where future Randy wants to be? That's an important thing. And then there are values. Values are your bedrock for being able to make other types of decisions. Things that there are core values, like the sun will come up in the east and set in the west. These core values dictate reality to you in a lot of ways. How you see the realism of the world around you, and your values are dictated according to what you surround yourself with and how you live your life. The last thing on the daily vision map is affirmations. And I was lucky enough to be able to get a whole list of affirmations, page after page after page after page, and put them together. And I can read a whole page very quickly. And it sets a tone. Here's the action that comes from it. Here's how I feel about it. Next one, right? I've added to my daily vision map, though it is not part of this, it is part of the business strategy concept. I've added my business growth plans before my affirmations. Not because I need affirmations or that I need to pause them or anything, but I need to make sure, after I've gone through my principles and values, that the things that I'm trying to achieve with my business are things that are going to be valuable to me. They're going to be helpful to me. Remember, our goal is not to live the way we are today. Our goal should be, at least, to live the way we want to live tomorrow. And then we achieve the things that will get us to where that is. A friend of mine calls it future Randy. Who are you in the future? The I am statement is so important. It's something that will get us further down the road. I am an entrepreneur. I'm going to dictate what that looks like, how I live my life, how I go about things, how I make decisions, how I compromise on things, right? Because compromise is a part of life. And the I am, as you start dictating these kinds of things in your life, having the ability to say, I am this, and make sure your business is delivering that to you. One of the most important things that I really appreciate on the rules for actions and principles, both of them together, is that I want to know that I am doing the types of things that I expect other people to do. If I'm doing it and I ask them to do it, or expect them to do it, right? We don't want to really ask too much of this, but we kind of expect it to happen. When I expect it to happen, when I want it to happen, I'm in alignment with that person when I do it myself. If I don't do it, there's no reason they should do it. They're doing it for themselves, and this camaraderie, this collaboration, this whatever you want to call it, that's done between you and somebody else, is important that both of you are in alignment on how you're going to achieve it. In business, we call it guide rails, or we call it principles of engagement in how we're going to work together and how we're going to do things. This is the daily vision map. We're looking at our business strategies here of the flow zone, the future self and commit, and the daily vision map. Our tasks and ideas this week were dealt with dignity of choice, and some of the quotes. One of them is, you want to make measurable progress in reasonable time. That's what the world asks from us. I want to wish you the best in your health, your wealth, your business, your family, everything about you. Take care. We'll come back next week with a brand new episode.